A passionate kiss. On the 5th anniversary of my relationship with Hunter, Hawthorne gave me a blockbuster proposal. But on the night before the wedding, I walked in on him losing control, pinning Briar against the wall. I'm only with her so she'll stop clinging to Ashton. Are you really going to watch me marry someone else? I had no intention of playing a supporting role in their earth-shattering romance. As I was preparing to bolt from the wedding, someone seized my wrist. The man leaned in and whispered, I'm planning to object during the ceremony. Will you say yes? 1. The night before the wedding, I went to the Grand to drop off the wedding day challenge kits Hunter would need for the groom's procession. The elevator was out of order and Hawthorne wasn't picking up. Left with no choice, I climbed the fire stairwell to his floor. The moment I stepped out, I saw Hunter backing a woman into a corner. The phone in his raised hand was ringing with our custom ringtone. I froze. Hunter never noticed me. Hawthorne gripped the woman's wrist, voice shaking. You said you wanted Ashton, so I gave Serena a blockbuster proposal, and made sure every outlet ran it. You said you liked him, so I went after Serena to keep her from pestering Ashton. But Briar, are you honestly going to stand by while I marry someone else? The woman twisted free enough for half her face to show. Thunder cracked inside my skull. My blood turned to ice. It was Briar, the Hawthorne estate's adopted daughter. Her gaze flicked toward me, almost casual. A tiny smirk tugged at her lips. When she looked back at Hunter, her eyes were red-rimmed. She clutched his shirt, voice trembling. Bro, I know you chased Serena for me, but I can't bear to watch you sacrifice your own happiness. Bro, bolt from the wedding. The second those words left her mouth, the last thread of Hunter's sanity snapped. Hawthorne kissed her hard. They stumbled, still kissing, through the door and slammed it shut. I doubled over, gagging. 2. I met Hunter 6 years ago. I'd been out at Velvet with friends, got separated and drank a spiked cocktail. At the worst possible moment, Hunter stepped in. Hawthorne drove me to Riverdale and stayed the whole night. When I woke, Hawthorne laid out exactly how dangerous the situation had been. Back then I felt nothing beyond gratitude. But from that day on, Hawthorne seeped into every corner of my life. Hawthorne kept running into me, mirroring my hobbies, dressing exactly the way I liked. His approach was so calculated I stayed wary. Hawthorne didn't rush. He courted me for more than a year, and gradually I wavered. After all, Hunter was the Hawthorne. Power, connections, killer looks. I had nothing Hawthorne could possibly want. So, I let him in and we became a couple. 5 years passed. 2 months ago, Hawthorne staged that blockbuster proposal. People told me he spent half a year planning it. Now I stared at the closed hotel door, unable to connect the man who had knelt and sworn lifelong devotion with the one who had just kissed me. If I hadn't come tonight, they'd probably be wrapped in each other's arms right now, mapping out how best to humiliate me by bolting from the wedding. I straightened, wiped my tears, and walked to the grand ballroom where the ceremony would take place. Photos of Hunter gazing at me with soft adoration lined the walls. I grabbed scissors and shredded every one. Beside them stood buckets of flowers Hawthorne claimed he picked stem by stem. I yanked them out by the handfuls. Hunter had already paid for everything, so I felt zero guilt. Half an hour of destruction left me breathing easier. I phoned 2 movers and paid them to smash every last decoration before dawn. As I stepped outside, a cold gust hit me. A coat settled over my shoulders. I turned and blinked. Ashton, the very man Hunter and Briar had just discussed. He took in my wrecked face and hesitated. You're getting married tomorrow. Why are you crying? Without waiting for an answer, he muttered. That bastard hurt you, didn't he? The memory still made my stomach lurch. Ashton spun toward the elevators, ready to confront Hunter. I caught his arm. Don't bother. The wedding's off. He stopped, frowning. We stood in silence. Ashton and I grew up next door to each other, but after Hunter and I got together, he left the country. No one had mentioned him coming back, so I had no idea where Hunter got the idea that I was chasing him. Finally, Ashton asked, "What happened?" I wasn't at fault and Hunter was half the story. I told him every detail. Ashton opened his mouth, shut it, then growled. Sick. He's filthy and drags other people through the mud. Disgusting. I gave a thin smile. Exactly. We were all just props in their great romance. Ashton studied me. After a long moment he blurted, I plan to object during the ceremony. Will you say yes? He looked nervous, lips pressed tight, gaze avoiding mine. When I didn't answer, Hawthorne rushed on. That Briar chick is obsessed with me, right? She pushed Hunter to chase you just to keep you away from me. Wouldn't it be poetic if your groom turned out to be me instead? I stared at the ground, brain racing. It did sound satisfying, but afterwards, what then? I shook my head. I'll announce the cancellation. Thanks for the offer. I turned to leave. Ashton blocked my path, words tumbling out. Actually, I need a favor. I paused. Hawthorne spoke fast. Being liked by someone like her makes my skin crawl. So do this one thing for me. Help me shake her off. After the ceremony we can wait a while, then tell everyone we split. That way neither of them gets off easy and it gets you out of a tight spot. Hawthorne rattled it off, then studied my face like he was defusing a bomb. What do you think? Sounded good, but I jabbed a finger toward the grand ballroom. I already called someone to trash the venue. They're probably finished by now. Cameron never worked slowly. Ashton's mouth bent in a half smirk. Easy fix. Leave it to me. By morning, Ashton had deployed his superpower, cold hard cash, and the entire wedding setup had been rebuilt in a different hotel. When Hunter's mutuals got the last-minute change of address, they were visibly thrown. At the entrance they spotted the giant portrait. Groom Ashton, not Hunter, and their brains short-circuited. They slipped into my bridal suite while the guests weren't looking and demanded answers. I smiled at my reflection. Groom swap. They traded a lightning-fast glance. Finally one girl whispered, "So you finally saw it?" I blinked. Another girl elbowed her, warning her to shut up. She ignored the jab and exhaled. The night Hunter proposed, I walked in on. My blank expression made her bite her lip. Then she just blurted it out. I saw Hunter kissing Briar, but it was dark and I had no proof, so I couldn't tell you. I stayed silent. Disgusting. The man pledging forever to me had cuddled his adoptive on the side, but that was it. Just disgust. Nothing deeper. I curved my lips at her. Forget it. It's done. She beamed and gushed over my makeup, my gown, the works. We were laughing when Ashton tapped twice. Showtime. Ready? The room went still at the sight of him in his tux. My friends invented excuses and vanished. Ashton's frosty mask melted the instant the door shut. Hawthorne stared at me through the mirror. I wiggled my fingers with 24 hours notice. Where did you score this? Fit like it had grown on me. Hawthorne flinched, gaze sliding away. Borrowed it. I let it go. The ceremony rolled without a single glitch. Ashton's hand wrapped around mine the entire time, anchoring me. Then, right after the recessional, while we were heading to the after-party, we stepped outside and found every Hawthorne relative camped in front of the original ballroom. Hawthorne jabbed a manicured finger at me the second the doors opened. Our family spent months planning this, and you send thugs to smash it, move the venue, and replace the groom at the last second, Ashton supplied. His brows drew together, but I stopped him with a touch. I met Hawthorne's glare. Your son tricked me into this wedding, then bolted with Briar. Was I supposed to wait around so the whole city could laugh at me? Whispers ignited behind her. Tricked her how? So Hunter ran off. His fault after all. No wonder the groom didn't show. Wait, someone else is missing too. Head swiveled. Briar, ever glued to Hawthorne's side, was nowhere in sight. The murmurs drained the color from the older woman's face. Ran off. Hawthorne told me Briar was in an accident and Hawthorne had to. She slammed the sentence shut. Finally seeing the trap her son had laid. Blame the bride, save his own name. Ashton gave a soft, lethal laugh. Accident. Check Riverdale's admittance logs. And doesn't the Hawthorne estate employ drivers? Why would the groom play ambulance? Hawthorne steadied herself, eyes fixed on me. Dylan, was it really Hunter who bolted? I nodded with Briar. She swayed, caught herself, and after a long breath said, I jumped to conclusions. I apologize, sweetheart. Ashton still looked murderous, but Hawthorne stayed quiet. The Hawthorne clan retreated, pride in tatters, and fled. Ashton and I herded our friends to the next stop. 4. The music and lights burned the last of the fog from my head. I danced, laughed, and actually enjoyed myself. 3 drinks in, the crowd demanded proof. Show us the marriage license. Come on, I want to see if Iceman can even smile for the camera. Another voice laughed. Ice. Hawthorne hasn't stopped grinning at Dylan all night. I glanced toward Ashton, our eyes locked, and Hawthorne jerked his gaze away, downing his cocktail in one go. Someone with liquid courage dragged him over, still clamoring for the license. Ashton shrugged. We haven't filed it yet. Eyebrows shot up. I jumped in. We're waiting for an auspicious date. Ceremony. First paperwork after. That satisfied them. They only reminded us to post the photo once we had it. When the hubbub died, Ashton sat beside me, palms on his knees. Was that true? What you said? I hesitated. I was thinking maybe we skipped the license. The wedding was already over. Hawthorne dropped his gaze. They'll hound us until they see that photo. No license, no peace. Hawthorne watched my face. We could file for real. Make it bulletproof. Undo it later once everything's quiet. I raised an eyebrow. Isn't everything already quiet? Hawthorne squirmed. The Hawthorns will resurface. They always do. While Hawthorne hunted for another excuse, I cut him off. Then let's file 5. The next time word of Hunter reached me, Ashton and I already had our certificates safely stowed. Thinking about what I had said to Ashton that day, she flew into a rage and froze the cards of both of us. But nobody ever told Hunter exactly what had happened. Once the cards were dead, Hunter and Briar couldn't hold out for long. Hunter probably assumed that after Hawthorne bolted from the wedding I'd fallen apart, and that was why Hawthorne was so furious. To placate his golden goose of a mother, Hawthorne texted me an apology. Dylan, I hurt you. I'm sorry. Only when I saw the message did I realize I'd forgotten to block him. Before I hit block I shot back. Fear sorry, go die. Then I tapped block without hesitation. The instant I powered the screen off, a text from Hawthorne arrived. She said she'd failed to raise her son properly and that Hawthorne injured me. Therefore, she had ordered Hunter to win my forgiveness. Ideally, she wanted us to start over. Ashton caught a glimpse of the text and said, Sour as lemon, bigamy is a felony. I nodded. I'd figured it out ages ago. Hawthorne insisted we file for a marriage license just to vaporize the last microscopic chance of Hunter and me reconciling. But honestly, Hawthorne overestimated how I felt about Hunter. I'm not a landfill for human garbage. After a moment's thought, I typed a long reply to Hawthorne. Auntie, Hunter and I are done permanently. I'm already married. Let's not stay in touch. The second it delivered, I blocked her too. Hawthorne's little game wasn't hard to read. The day she stormed the Grand to corner me, she already knew Hunter was the one who'd run. She just didn't think it mattered. What enraged her was how cleanly I'd swapped grooms. But once she learned Hunter had bolted for Briar, everything flipped. Hawthorne shoved Ashton to barge inside. Ashton didn't budge. Hunter rebounded a step. Serena would never marry you. Impossible. Too lazy to argue, Ashton pulled 2 scarlet marriage certificates from his jacket. Afraid Hunter might grab them, Hawthorne flipped them open. See clearly. Serena, my wife, legal and binding. Briar glued her eyes to the certificates, screaming. How could you marry Serena? How? Hunter's brows snapped together. Hawthorne hissed. Briar. She didn't hear, chanting the same line over and over. Hunter rallied and tried again. I don't believe it. Let me see Serena. Let me see her. Worried Ashton might be outnumbered, I stepped out just in time to watch Ashton's long leg piston out, booting Hunter halfway across the hall. Then Hawthorne slammed the door. I gaped. That was it. So crude, so simple. Ashton turned, saw me, and instinctively stuffed the certificates back in his pocket. I narrowed my eyes. I put those away. Why are you carrying them? Hawthorne avoided my gaze. Your best messaged me to protect you. I figured the Hawthorns would show. His voice shrank. It's quicker than talking, right? Hunter must have heard me because the pounding resumed. Serena, you only married Ashton to make me regret it, didn't you? I rolled my eyes and ignored him. Hawthorne didn't get to keep interrogating me. Through the door I could hear Briar yelling. You swore they'd never cross paths. So how are they married? Saw you. You loser. Loser. Hunter, mortified, soothed and yanked her away by force. Ashton and I left the security monitor. Hawthorne looked vaguely sick. She actually likes me. Terrifying. I nodded in agreement. Then Hawthorne switched gears. Good thing you saved me. If you hadn't said yes, that lunatic would be stalking me forever. I arched a brow. So how will you thank me? Ashton peered through the peephole to be sure they were gone, then undid his top button. If you don't mind, I could. Hawthorne wanted me to pay the debt with my body. Those 4 words never left his lips, yet I grasped his meaning in a flash. My face burned. I snatched the nearest throw pillow and flung it at him. Ashton tilted sideways, dodging the assault. I shot him a glare, then spun on my heel and stalked back to the study to work. Within minutes, Hawthorne trailed after me. Hawthorne said nothing, just stood there watching. Only after I hit save and shut the laptop did Hawthorne speak. I figure those 2 will show up again. Want to skip town on a honeymoon? We could dodge them completely. I nodded in instant agreement. Evading them was unquestionably the smartest play. Wrestling with 2 lunatics head-on would be sheer idiocy. Ashton and I clicked like flint and steel. We booked evening flights before another minute passed. When the security feed pinged another alarm, we were already touching down in the neighboring state. 8. The instant we landed, Ashton and I headed for the Escape Manor theme park everyone raved about. I'd saved dozens of glowing posts but had never gone. Because Briar claimed she was terrified, Hunter scrubbed it from every itinerary we'd ever drafted. I shook the nauseating pair out of my skull and focused on the puzzles. The room wasn't brutal. Ashton and I cracked clues without breaking a sweat. Everything rolled smoothly until, on the threshold of the exit, an actor burst from a side door. I shrieked and barreled straight into Ashton's chest. Unprepared, Hawthorne staggered back into a jagged prop. A sharp hiss slipped through his teeth, yet his other arm stayed locked around me. My heart hammered. Took forever to steady. Once we were out under bright lights, I spotted a crimson dot blooming between his shoulder blades. I tugged his hand. Ashton, you're bleeding. Hawthorne laced our fingers, unconcerned. Barely a scratch. I'll dab antiseptic later. I scrolled my phone, dragged him into the nearest pharmacy, then hauled him to the Grand once we had supplies. Back in the suite, I ordered, shirt off. His ears flamed. I've got it. I slapped the bottle and cotton into his palm. Fine, show me how you'll reach it. The gash sat square in the dead center of his back. His arms simply weren't long enough. Hawthorne refused to admit defeat, twisting like a pretzel, always an inch short. No ointment landed, and every yank reopened the sting. I leaned against the wall, enjoying the spectacle, until Hawthorne suddenly gasped. Ah! Rolling my eyes, I took the cotton and dabbed gently. Ashton, ever the schemer, kept letting out strangled groans. Half asleep to the trick, I absently blew on the wound. After the 3rd fake whimper I caught on. I jabbed a spot that was perfectly intact. Hawthorne yelped on cue. I capped the bottle and folded my arms. Ashton. Still oblivious, I poked the unmarked skin harder. There's not even a scrape here. What are you howling about? His expression froze. I forgot. Hawthorne sneaked a glance. You looked so worried. I figured it must be catastrophic. The original plan had been full-blown pity. Who knew the injury would be so pitifully small? Amused, I stayed silent. Assuming I was furious, Hawthorne wheeled around. I didn't ram that spike on purpose. Shirtless, his abs filled my vision. I couldn't look away. Ashton read the room instantly. Pity wouldn't work, but blatant thirst-trapping would. From that second on, Hawthorne conjured excuses to flaunt skin. Towel forgotten after showers, shirts changed in slow motion right in my path. By the 3rd day of abs on display, I tackled him to the mattress. Ashton, smug beyond belief, whispered while I was half-conscious. If I'd known you'd bite, I'd have run the seduction routine 5 years ago. I was already drifting and missed the last sentence entirely. 9. The 7th morning of our honeymoon, Hunter called again. Craftier now, Hawthorne had a stranger speak first. Only after I answered did Hawthorne take the line. Voice pitched an octave higher. Serena, I was wrong. I shouldn't have bolted from the wedding for Briar. Shouldn't have broken you. Serena, I cut in. Hunter, the night you and Briar made out against my door, I saw and heard everything. His frantic apology died mid-breath. I hung up and blocked the new number. Ashton frowned. Still not giving up, I shrugged. Maybe regrets, but his regret was none of my business. 10. That night, after a beachside stroll, Briar blocked our path. Spotting our clasped hands, her face contorted. Let go. Let go of her. Ashton stepped in front of me. Taylor shrieked. Serena, my brother saved you. How dare you dump him? We inched backward, planning to sprint for the elevator. Each retreat she matched until she lunged for Ashton's arm. Ash, don't stay with her. She was drugged once. My brother rescued her. I laughed outright. So, I owe him lifelong servitude for that? Even while you two swap spit in front of me, I'm supposed to applaud. What century was she from? Briar recoiled, shaking her head. No, Ash. I didn't. I'd never want Hunter. The moment the denial left her lips, Hunter's voice sounded behind her. Briar. Disappointment clouded his eyes. She flinched, but seeing as she stiffened, she said, I never wanted you. I only clung to you so you'd ruin Serena. You failed. I handed you perfect plans and you still let them marry. I hate you, Hunter. Hunter's face turned to ice. Right in front of Ashton and me, the two people actually involved, they started tearing into each other like rabid dogs. Hunter stepped up to Briar, clamped a hand on the back of her neck and snarled. If you're so crazy about Ashton, why didn't you bother telling him you drugged Serena and staged the whole thing so I'd play the hero? Ashton's stare grew colder by the second. In a panic, Briar blurted, That's not true, Ash. Hunter's making it up. Ashton flung her off. I'm nothing to you. Don't call me that. It's sickening. Hunter glanced from us to Briar, stunned. Hawthorne's not your boyfriend. You lied to me. Briar's eyes darted away. She couldn't meet his gaze. By now, Hunter understood everything. Hawthorne shoved her hard. Then Hawthorne reached for my hand. Serena, I was conned. She told me Ashton was her man and that you kept throwing yourself at him, trying to steal him away. So, I came after you and bolted from the wedding. I was just blinded. Forgive me, please. Ashton drove a kick into his ribs. So you drugged my wife and dared to impersonate me? I jerked my head toward Ashton. Hunter stared, dazed. It was you. The pieces finally clicked. Ashton had been the one who saved me that night. Hunter had simply stolen his identity and done it on Briar's order so Hawthorne could get close to me. The whole nightmare had sprouted from Briar's lies. I exhaled, tapped stop on the voice memo and said, Ashton, call the cops. Hawthorne nodded and dialed. Briar lunged, clawing for the phone. You can't. No police. Hunter hauled her back, grinning like something that had crawled from hell. Scared now? If Serena won't forgive me, you're going down with me. While they wrestled, Ashton finished the call. Casey still couldn't wriggle free. Desperate, she snatched up a loose brick and slammed it into Hunter's skull. Idiot, she muttered, swinging again. You swallowed every word. If you promised to help, you'd better finish the job. Afraid she'd turn on me, Ashton twisted her arms behind her back before she could move. Sirens wailed closer. Briar jabbed a finger at Hunter on the ground. Hawthorne did it. I had nothing to do with any of it. Ashton and I raised our phones together. We've got recordings, she confessed. The color drained from Briar's face. We didn't get back to the Grand until well past midnight. I voiced the question I'd been holding in. If you were the one who saved me, why didn't you tell me? Ashton sighed, sounding almost sulky. I carried you to Riverdale, but Mom collapsed right after. I made sure you were stable, then ran home to her. When I came back weeks later, there you were, trailing after Hunter like a happy puppy. I didn't know Hawthorne and Briar had set the whole thing up, and watching you fall for him shredded me. I flew overseas to lick my wounds. Later, Linong tipped me that something twisted was going on between Hunter and Briar. I landed the day you were busy trashing the venue. Linong was the girl who told me she'd seen them kissing. I asked, so what really happened between you and Briar? She sounded unhinged. We barely talked, yet she swore I kept throwing myself at you and ruining your relationship. Ashton winced. Hunter's birthday a few years back. She claims it was love at first sight. After that, she stopped me nonstop. Part of the reason Hawthorne had gone abroad was heartbreak over me. The other part was escaping Briar's obsession. I burrowed into his chest. No wonder you showed up ready to object the moment you saw me again. Hawthorne gave a smug little hum. I was prepared to cheer you on from the sidelines, but the bastard handed me a perfect opening. Hawthorne dipped his head to kiss me. We always did think alike. Case in point, we both hit record at the same time. From the second Hunter approached, I'd sent something off and started a voice memo on my phone. I never expected them to bury each other so thoroughly. With that evidence, neither of them should see daylight for a long while. We later heard Briar fractured Hunter's skull. Hawthorne, realizing the girl she'd adopted had used her son, sullied the Hawthorne name, and then nearly killed him, publicly disowned Briar and pledged zero leniency. She even flexed the family's clout. Briar's future looked bleak. Watching Ashton gloat reminded me of all his son moments, so I teased him. I slipped out of his arms and pretended to tug off my ring. Right. You said this ring was borrowed. Better return it before the owner wants it back. I barely wiggled it past my knuckle when Hawthorne pushed it firmly back into place. Didn't you notice our initials engraved inside? And exactly whose jewelry box has a ring that fits you perfectly? I played dumb. You were the one who said it. Oh, and you promised once everything was settled you'd divorce. Hawthorne cut me off with a kiss that left my knees weak. When Hawthorne finally let me breathe, he whispered, "If you believe everything I say, then tonight I'm saying." The rest was too low to catch. I shoved him away. Motion denied. Hawthorne snaked an arm around my waist and reeled me in. Objection overruled. Eventually, I didn't even have the strength to bite him. I swear. Starting tomorrow, Ashton and I are sleeping in separate rooms. The threat was barely out before Hawthorne demonstrated physically that careless words have consequences. Oh, the end. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and share with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more exciting tales. See you next time.